welcome to A Moment with Sister Prisca. Today, I want to tell you one of the secrets of my learning the use and speaking of Italian language. You know, it is not always easy to learn a new language. And for you to learn any language, you need to do certain things if you really want to succeed. Imagine yourself sitting in the company of persons who speak a language that you do not understand. You have to be smart enough to decide what way will work better for you to learn that very language. My journey to Italy was just a joyful one. And to learn the language was a difficult task. But I told myself, now that I am new in this very country, I have to learn the language. I need to drop or keep aside a little bit of the language which I know how to speak. I mean, my local language and the use of English. I try to concentrate myself in order to focus every attention of mine towards learning the language. And one thing you have to know is that when you don't know a language, you will be at loss because not every person will always be lucky to get someone who does the translation for him or her correctly. And even if somebody offers to help you, the question you still have to ask yourself is, for how long would this person stand by my side to guide and to help me to translate the language? These are the things you need to take into consideration whenever you want to learn a language. Now I am going to tell you my own experience. And with that, you'll be able to understand the need for you to do things for yourself. Learn the things you need to do at the right time without wasting time. My journey to Italy was a joyful one. It is a joyful one and it will remain a joyful one. One of the things I try to do is just to tell myself that if I have to succeed, because my mission here is that I have come to serve God in my own vocation, in the life of the persons that I'm going to meet. And since Italy is not an English speaking country, and I come from another continent that speaks a different language, the easiest way for me to make sure that the people whom I have come to stay with understands me and I understand them is to preach that separation of language. And to do that, I had to drop my own language. I had to avoid speaking English, speaking my own local language so that I'll be able to understand them. And in doing so, what did I do? I first of all asked myself one question. If now that I am new in this very country and I don't know the language, the more I stay, I may lose the interest or kind of tell myself that listeners may come in and I may feel somehow a little bit relaxed. Secondly, I considered another fact that if I don't learn the language, there is always a danger that somebody may kind of give me a wrong interpretation. For example, you may want to say something that may should at least make others happy or even to smile. That's a joke. But a person who may be doing the translation could literally translate what you said, and the person who is listening to on the other side will get angry thinking that the translation that was made was just the same way you did it. But because there is that gap that I cannot express myself directly on what I have in mind, the translator or the person who stands in to translate will make a very big mistake, and that will be a little of trouble. So, dearest one, the thing I had to do were the following. For me to master the language Italian, what I did, first of all, I had to connect and reconnect myself with sound. That is trying to listen to the words that I hear with the things familiar with me from my own language, the things I know. And for you to learn a language is just for you to kind of return into your childhood time. Just when you stay with a child, you have to train the child and teach the child word by word with symbols and everything to help carry the child along. And because of it, dearest one, what did I do? Anything that I see, I ask question. I may hold a piece of paper and I will just show it to someone. The person already knows what I want to ask by holding that paper. And the person will tell me, this is called folio, that is paper. And with that, I just memorize what does this sound in my own language. With that kind of combining the sound with the things I know, I began to memorize them. Not just because what I think is the translation is what actually it meant, but they were kind of things that helped me to remember what I was being told that this is in that particular language. Just like someone bringing a funnel, you show it to someone, no matter the person, they will tell you what it is in the language. And whenever you hear it, I make sure that I bend down, write it in my own way of understanding so that that thing which was said to me, I didn't go back again to ask the same question. So whatever it is that I listen to, I jotted down. And I kind of engaged myself in listening to news, listening to conversations, even when I did not understand the content of what they were saying, just only to get my ears and my mind familiar to the sound and the things that I hear. And with that, I began little by little. Most times, just like a child who starts with the the a workbook, I will kind of retrace this word, what it means in English. I will write the translation and put it there. And I will now begin to learn the pronunciation, how that word is being pronounced. Or maybe when I hear somebody say something that sounded familiar to me, I will look for the correct spelling and read out the meaning, what it is. These were just one of the little things or the little tricks that motivated me into learning the language very fast. And for you to learn a language very fast, you don't have to be speaking your own local languages at all times. Else, your attention or your level of connection will diminish. Stay out from persons that speak the same language with you, except in this case both of you are studying together. But at least there are still some times you need to stay alone, study things that you see around. Open language self-study book and get yourself the education that you need. Remember, it is you who will be able to train yourself, not just what people tells you. It is what you convince yourself that this will work better for you that will also motivate you the more. So the trick is having motivation, commitment, and the right learning plan. So this is what I just started. Most of the time or at that initial time, I began learning how to create. For example, I may meet someone, I hear them speak buongiorno. I know buongiorno is just like, it sounds like something French, bonjour. And I will kind of try to memorize what does this sound like in my own local language. And I will just kind of write it down in a place that only me will be able to remember. Look, to say good morning is buongiorno, and in my own language is this is just the spelling. That's to enable me to pronounce it. And because I was able to become a little bit prudent and loyal to myself, I became more interested in learning. And one thing you also have to know is that for you to learn first in any language, you have to learn through children because staying near them will give you more opportunity of connecting faster and seeing things in a very childlike manner. But when you have to go into the language course pattern, you have to go into use correct use of words and begin to master all those. But remember, you need to stay with the local people around to hear them speak and repeat. Even if it means whatever you hear, you just move out and repeat that word until it sinks into your mind. Then you'll be able to master it. Secondly, I also try to know names, how they are being pronounced. The names I'm familiar with, how it is being pronounced. And one thing you just have to know is that every language that you meet, there is always something that will connect you easily to that language so that you'll be able to learn it very, very fast. One is that in Italian language, it is easy to learn and speak the language because the words are exactly pronounced the same way it is written. It is not complicated as English that maybe it may start with PH and the pronunciation will be something like in F. Italian language is being pronounced difference between it. And that is one of the easiest things that will make a learner to be able to learn the language very well. Don't be shy. Don't be afraid when you're making a mistake and people laugh at what you just said. Tell yourself learning is a gradual process. And since you have to go into that gradual process to succeed, you need to tell yourself to be patient. You need to tell yourself to be loyal to the things that you hear. Always remember to tell yourself that you have come to connect yourself, not just only to the environment, but also to impress the culture of the people whom you have gone to meet or gone to live. And you have to understand the word structure, what letters, how it sounds, and determine the concept to which they all define. And so that you'll be able to establish a personal connection of how to use those words. The four levels of processing can help you to understand the language. Think about what it sounds in your own language. Trying to have always a jotter with you to write every new word that you came across with and be able to make sure that whatever you hear, you are able to try to pronounce it. Don't forget to be kind enough to ask people, please, could you help me repeat? Say that thing again the same way they do it. You will surely meet a charitable person who will help you to pronounce it and to get it rightly the way it's supposed to be. So these are one of the things you still have to understand about how easy to learn a language. And secondly, I also try to know the kind of festivities that is being celebrated so that it will help me to enter into the culture of the land where I am. And I began to read all those things as if I was just a kind of a curious child in quest or wanting to know what exactly that is there that I should know. And in so doing, you create something that I call a learning pattern. That learning pattern may sound like something that only you will be able to know how it sounds and you'll be able to connect it with the correct sound to what you are going to translate. Then you have to give your ear a training because none of us is being born a genius. We were all born as masters of pronunciation, capable to recognize phonemes from any language. For example, when somebody says to you, child, you already know that that is a foreign language. I could be an Italian or any language. But what you have to do, the easiest way that you have to learn a language is that when somebody meets you and says something, try to repeat what that person says so that you'll be able to know if you are getting the pronunciation the same way that person made it. And when you begin that way, little by little, you're going to make that opportunity to last. Then you ought to train your mouth. That is, rely on the resources. I mean, the spelling, not the English explanation. You have to train your mouth in the pronunciation because there are some words that are silent when you do make the pronunciation and when you do make the spelling. Always remember that eye contact is always essential. Learning pronunciation gets you more closer when you feel all that the words you need to speak are there. And in that eye contact, it will be able to help you understand how the person who is speaking to you at that moment is connecting. So please remember this. In learning a new language, you need to train your ears, you need to train your eyes, and you need to train your mouth in its pronunciation. These are the essential things that you need to know before you go on. And in doing that, this ensures a daily process that each and every one of us have to go. It is a journey of a lifetime because once you immerse yourself into learning the language, as you keep on repeating it, you will begin to master how those words are being pronounced. Try to reverse whatever you hear. Don't feel shy. Even in the voice of a child, always repeat that which you have learned. To learn a language is not easy, but if you are committed towards learning a language, you find yourself to do it in a very quicker form. Here are some of the things that you need to do if you really want to succeed, irrespective of the language you are interested in. You need to be the architect of your own vocabulary. It is you who have to write the words that you hear or that you see as you travel. You learn them first before going. You have to learn to carry with you at least a little jotter that will help you to be writing the things that you see. You revise the things that you have learned the pronunciation. And again, you have to make use of audiobooks to help you enhance your listening and speaking skill. You have to start in series, even if it means watching the children's programs so that you'll be able to know the basic things. Because whatever it is that belongs to children is done in such a way that it will be able to accommodate other children who find themselves at that very level. Then you have to use an online resource for speaking in a way that it will pronounce the word and you will be able to do the repetition. And if you are learning a language for a particular purpose, you need to consider specializing in that field which you have decided to study. If you talk to a person in a language he understands, that gives him the heritage. And if you talk to him in that same language, you will be able to find yourself doing the same way because you are just repeating exactly what you heard. You have to avoid translation. Instead of memorizing words and the list of whatever it is, you just have to do the best you can. God will surely help you by your continuous, insistent method towards learning that language which has been your desire. So, dearest friends, always remember that for you to succeed in learning any language, you must be childlike in a way that when you make a mistake, you'll be able to correct yourself and move on. Always remember to tell yourself that for you to succeed, you need to memorize things in the way that they appear or the sound in your ears. Use that method as if you are hearing a word that reminds you of a particular thing in a different language. By so doing, you'll find yourself succeed in speaking the language of your choice. So these were the part of the things that I made use of while learning the language. And it worked out for me because most times is that when you are learning a language, other thoughts will still come in such a way to either confuse you or to make you distracted, and you will not be able to find yourself in line with what you are doing. So, at the initial time, you have to forget about your own language and concentrate more on the language of the people whom you have come to stay. In so doing, you will now discover that learning language is just something that connects you immediately. That is being based on the commitment and the time you give to yourself. Thank you, dearest friends, for joining us in this live stream. If you have any questions, kindly drop them at the comment section. Don't forget to please share the video and subscribe to our channel. Invite your friends to join us. More interesting topics are going to be treated on this very platform. I am Sister Prisca in a moment with Sister Prisca. God bless you for joining us. Thank you so much.